Okay, what's the longest long run you should be doing when you're training for an ultramarathon? Now, by ultramarathon, we can mean 50K, in which case the training is very similar to marathon training. But what you really want to probably know is if you're doing 100K, 160K, 100 miles, what long run should you really be doing? And what does the training look like? And how does it differ from if you're just doing a marathon training schedule? Now, the big thing to ask yourself before you get into this is, what are you in it for? What are you trying to do Leadville 100 for, Western States 100 or UTMB 100? If it's a bucket list and if you're trying to go there and survive the distance, survive the race course, survive the conditions of the heat, etc., then it's the tune-up race is important. The tune-up long runs, like the big long runs that you're going to do before, are important because you want to go to America, you want to go to Leadville 100 or Western States or one of the other ones, or you want to go to UTMB, and you want to be able to enjoy the day. You want to be out there for 20, 25, 30 hours and be enjoying that as much as you possibly can do. And the way you do that, the way that you enjoy it the most, is by being prepared. And the way that you prepared the way that you prepare is to be doing the midweek interval session, to be kind of building gradually that faster speed over time. But most importantly for the ultramarathon, if you just want to be out there and enjoying it, you want to be gradually adding kilometers to your weekend long run so that you know confident in your mind that you're going to be able to survive the distance. Now, you're not going to go out there and do a 100-mile training run. You might do if you're absolutely crazy, and it's a fun thing to do anyway, but why not schedule in a race as your longest long run before you hit the actual race? And I would do that something between 5 and 8 weeks out, maybe even 12 weeks out before the big race itself, before the 100 miles. And it's especially important if you're going to be out there all day, 20, 25, 30 hours and be doing 100 miles. So I would schedule in a race, schedule in a 50-mile race or a 70-mile race, something between 5 and 12 weeks out from the race. So you know confidently as you're going into the final phases of the training that you can survive the distance. And in actual fact, you're very confident you can survive the distance. You're very confident you can actually race the distance. So you can kind of go for your time targets along the track, and you can look at checkpoints, look at aid stations, know what time you should be there or thereabouts, and be able to give your crew, give your team a really good estimate on how long it's actually going to take you to get to each aid station, which is going to make the race more enjoyable for you, more enjoyable for your team, and overall it's kind of that feeling of being part of a community that you're probably there for. You know, you're probably there for the running community, you're probably there to meet new people, you're going to meet people who you're going to spend a day plus with, and before and after the race, who are going to probably be in contact with you forever. So it's a massive community feel. It's super important that you get the best out of the day. And as I said, to do that, you need to prepare. And the biggest way to prepare for an ultramarathon is to make sure that you can do the distance. And I think the best way to run 100 miles, the best way to get ready for 100 miles is to do a long run that's probably between 50 and 70 miles, to gradually build up to that. And rather than be out there on your own for 50 or 70 miles, have that as a race. So find a race local to you. If you're in the UK and this happens to be, you know, a race in the UK, fantastic. It's very easy logistically. It's not going to cost you too much in order to get there, to get prepared. Doesn't matter if you fail, you can go again at a different one. And by fail, I mean kind of like be out there and not kind of finish. But you're going to learn things from that. You're going to learn how to get in and out of aid stations really quickly, how to not lose so much time on the aid station if that's a big factor for you. You might have an idea, for instance, going to Western States, that you want to do it in less than 24 hours. And that might be super important for you. You might be wanting to kind of break 30 hours, but be able to break 20 hours, whatever it is. But you probably in those situations don't want to lose too much time at the aid station, meaning that you don't want to be faffing around thinking, where's my drink? You're disorganized, essentially. You want to be organized going in there. And the way that you get organized going into that is you're able to kind of have some race experience and have some experience in getting into an aid station. Right, I need this, that, and refill my Camelback, and you're out and you're gone. it's great to be doing, like if you do a 50-mile run, it's amazing when people ask me this, but whenever I've gone and done sort of 50 miles or 85k, we do a lot in Spain, and like 70 to 85k, those races often will beat the body up less than a marathon. When I'm going all out on a marathon and it's a flat marathon, I'm using the same muscles over and over and over again, kilometer after kilometer. I'm beating up the quads, I'm springing off the glutes and the hamstrings, the calves are taking it because it's tarmac. When I'm out there on the trails and I might be running a fast 50 miler or a fast 70k, it's usually up and down mountains, and it's less sort of flat and more kind of undulating, and therefore I'm able to rotate muscle groups and not beat one muscle up too much. So the answer, like, how long does your long run need to be? Can you just run a marathon, run a few marathons, and then go and do 100 miles? Absolutely. But you're going to have less certainty going into that race. And if it's as important as the Western States to you, where you've had to either win a lottery or get a qualifying spot to get there, and then if you've got a qualifying spot, then you're probably there for different reasons. You're probably there to compete. So therefore, you probably want you're probably going to naturally have more race experience. You're probably going to have won or come second in a 100k race. So you're going to know what you're doing, but it's still important to tune up before that big dance, that big 100-mile race. Exactly the same for 100k. The training for 100k is more or less the same as marathon training, but you just go a little bit further, like 50k, 60k on the long run, and then you're good. And make sure that it's kind of calculated. The pace is calculated, so maybe it's slower by 10% than your actual marathon pace or than your actual race pace. So it's that kind of thinking that you want to go in there. Well, what is your reason for being there? Why do you want to run 100 miles? And okay, so if you're going to want to go there and enjoy it as much as you possibly can, you want to be confident that you can do the distance. You want to be confident that you can race the distance and not just survive the distance. Super important. And I think, you know, the rest of your training, that interval training, is still as important, because you want to make that race pace feel super comfortable. And the way to make race pace feel comfortable, more often than not, is to be comfortable at going faster than that for periods of time. Whether that's 2-minute intervals, 5-minute intervals, 10-minute intervals, fartlek session, comfortable at going faster, so that when you slow down and you think, right, I'm going to be here for 20 hours, just doing 100 miles. I'm going to be here for 25 hours, 30 hours just doing this pace. And there's going to be tough sections, there's going to be uphill sections, there's going to be downhill sections that take it out of my quads. But because I've done the homework, I've done the racing, and I'm ready to go, you feel so much more confident that you can survive out there and also thrive and hit your target time, which you've probably, because you're into that kind of stuff, you've probably got a target for yourself because you expect high things. Super important. Enjoyment is always #1 priority. And for you to enjoy it as much as you possibly can, as optimally as you can, the best way to do that is to prepare. And the best way to do a really long run, like a 50-mile, 60-mile long run, is to do that in a race and enjoy that race as well. So it's double fun. You get to enjoy the tune-up race, and then you get to enjoy the 100-miler itself. Good luck. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below.